So here are 16 teams in this 4x1 mile. On the inside, going to number 1 is Eno Track Club. That's Riverside High School from Thurman, North Carolina. Ranking number 2 is Morris Track Club, which is St. Peter's Prep in New Jersey. Rank 3 is St. Johnsbury Academy and the Vermont. Group number 4 is Charlottesville High School out of Virginia.
Well, we are going to round out day 1 here at New Balance Nationals Outdoors 2025 with some very exciting distance relay action. We have our 4x1 mile relays on track. Thanks so much for sticking with us through this broadcast. We're glad that you're tuning in. We're glad that you're watching us live. We are having a ball here on track. Kate Van Buskirk joined by Serenity Douglas. It has been a very interesting first day, but we wouldn't expect anything less. Meet records have gone down. National records have been contested, and we're going to close things out again with this 4x1 mile championship relay. We'll start with our seeded sections. On the boys' side, we have Eno Track Club. They're joined by the Marauders, St. Johnsbury, Charlottesville, Woodbridge, Manhasset, Hall Track Club, East Lyme, Manheim Township, Hawks Track Club, Boston Jesuit, Haddonfield, American Fork, Colts Neck, Oregon Distance Project, and Harriman. So 16 teams set to take to this very quick 4x1 mile relay. Athletes will stay on that, again, outside of the rail and then move into the rail right away. Expect this to be very, very quick. Serenity, we've got some fantastic teams taking to this competition.
We absolutely do, Kate. What a perfect way to go out, and that is with a relay. Just jumping out in their start, that's Boston Jesuit Track Club. Just blazing. They're actually the defending champions, but that means that the target is on their back. I know they're still probably riding the high from winning just last year, but it's time to do it again, and we're going to see if they're able to do it again. They have 3 of their 4 returning from last year, and that means a lot. But right behind them is St. Johnsboro Track Club. Now, something of note with these relays, especially when it comes to distance relays, it can get extremely choppy. You definitely don't want to drop a baton. I am not jinxing these athletes, but it does get pretty scary when they're all elbow to elbow. And they're carrying sticks in their hands. It can get pretty tough. But still out there leading is Boston Jesuit. And leading this quartet of athletes, according to our notes, it should be Shamaz Leonard. .415 for our current leader. A pretty quick tempo for them. So 4:15 average yield is 17 flat, which will be a mean record. Mean record with 8, 17, 12, 34. And right in their view should be the meet record held by Union Catholic from 3 years ago out of New Jersey. But pushing the Boston Jesuit Track Club is St. Jonesboro right to their outside. But now making a charge to their further outside. Insane. If this was the time to make a move, and that's exactly what they did. And it looks like they're wearing hip number 12. That's Hannonfield. making an insane push. That's Luke Anderson. But just as we say that, the lead changes yet again. I mean, but this is what makes running these relays so, so exciting. Just under 200 meters left. And who just made that other lead change was Manheim Township Track Club. That was Ethan Heffley. And the defending champs have now dropped back to about 5th place now, because it's all Manheim Township Track Club, who are now about to hand off first from Ethan to Mason Scheffler.
Excellent opening split there for Manheim Township. They should be really happy with that. 4:14.82 unofficially for that opening leg. And that is going to put them about a half second ahead of Harriman at 4:15.17. It is those two with about that same gap separating them at the moment. And Manheim Township, again, it is meant to be Mason Scheffler. Mason Schaefer taking things out in second position for them. Serenity, you know, we both been on relay teams. This is so interesting. You want to do service to the other athletes on your team. You want to make sure that you don't let them down. You take advantage of whatever, you know, gap they've given you over the rest of the field. But you also want to know yourself as an athlete, especially in a distance race like this. And just gliding ahead now is Harriman. This is set to be Micah Tang. Harriman out of Utah. And he's made a really comfortable pass there on the outside. And here comes the field behind him. Great shot there. Kudos, camera guys, for that excellent beauty shot of the field. And now some separation. Serenity, this is so interesting.
Yeah.
It was bunched up. Everyone was running together. This is where you have to know the strength of your teammates and of your athletes, because look at how fast the charge is coming from behind, and I don't think our leading duo has any concept of the danger happening behind them.
But that's what makes, especially this type of relay, like the 4x-mile, so exciting, is the fact that you never know what it's going to end up as, because these guys have so many opportunities to change the lead. How we start is not how we finish at all.
Well, and here comes the pass now. This is a fantastic run. This is set to be Carter Moore, the second runner for American Fork Cross Country.
You got to love that track club name.
Well, they have really shown themselves to be top-notch athletes time and time again. American Fork out of Utah. As I'm sure you said, third at New Balance Nationals indoors this year at 17:01. So many of these teams returning many of their top runners, both from last year, which again speaks to the strength of the underclassmen. Truly, some of them, you know, 9th, 10th graders moving up now to the senior ranks, but that is Harriman continuing to hold that pole position. Harriman just ahead of American Fork. Good move on the outside now by American Fork. Second runner, as we said, set to be Carter Moore. I believe that is Moore just ahead of Tang. And it is those two as they work their way around the final lap of this race.
And what makes this duo so exciting is the fact that they're in-state rivals. They're both out of Utah, so I'm sure they're used to each other, used to dealing with each other.
Again, I'm pretty sure Tang heard you say that, because as soon as he felt that pressure, look at the gear change. This guy's going for it as if he's approaching the actual finish line. Again, he's going to have to go around about another 150 meters before the handoff, but if you're going to commit, you got to commit all the way. That's exactly what we're seeing happen on track.
Absolutely. You see a different type of grit when it comes to relays. Now that he's turning the curve, he is starting to see his teammate waiting for him. He's like, look what I did. I gave you a nice big lead.
And you better take advantage of it, I think, is the subcontext there. So Tang is going to hand off for Harriman with a very healthy lead. And for Harriman, this is set to be a Gomo. That was a 4:17 split for Tang. 4:15 to open things off, courtesy of Jonah Tang. Hands off to brother Micah Tang. And things are clicking very well for that Harriman quartet in the early stages of this third leg. There you see all those exchanges, but a great shot back there as they pass the finish line. And it is a Gomo with a healthy lead over the field. But he's starting to slow a little bit now. This is sometimes where you put your potentially, not your best runner on the third leg. Still very strong, and his turnover is clicking along really nicely. But he's going to come under some pressure. Again, running completely solo and without a lot of information. He's running all by himself, not knowing what's happening behind him. And what's happening behind him is a huge surge, great shot there, of our third place team, who is approaching our second place runners, American Fork, now under some contest by Oregon Distance Project. And this is set to be Tavon Kitchen, the standout for American Distance Project. This guy knows how to get it done. From the 800, 400 I should say, 800, 1600, 32, he can do it all. Cross country, this guy's got the range.
I mean, and like you mentioned, it's notorious at the fact that you don't necessarily always put your best athlete on leg number 3. That's kind of the sleeper leg a little bit, but when you do, like Oregon Distance Project did, that's how you're going to make up a lot of that room. But that's what I love about the 4x mile. You got 4 laps to make up whatever you need to make up.
Now you see that fatigue building in our leader. He's running blind. He's coming up on just over a lap to go. But it is Tavon Kitchen sitting behind, and anytime you have the likes of Kitchen chasing you, you better be at least a little bit worried. Where would your head be at this point? I know you're not a miler, but you've run many a relay. Where would your head be at if you were being chased down and you can hear the crowd but don't necessarily have the information about what's going on behind you?
Just go. Use the Jumbotron to your advantage, man. I mean, I always have. You just got to keep going, though. I mean, and it's looking like it is beginning to hurt. But he does still have a pretty sizable lead on the field, I will say. He is relying on his arms, and they are working right now. All he needs to do is just to continue on until he sees his teammate.
So we should mention that mounting that charge from behind in third, Tavon Kitchen, he's a sub-4-minute miler. He did that indoors this year at Boston University, 3:59.61, but hesitant to make the swing just yet. And this is interesting tactics, courtesy of our third-place team, Oregon Distance Project. Again, just using that sort of pace setter ahead of him in the form of the American Fork runner, Caden Evans. But to your point, I do think that our Harriman leader has found another gear. He maybe was given some feedback from behind, but he is turning over in a tremendous way.
You know what it was? He passed by his teammates right when it started to hurt. I'm sure they've been cheering for him the whole time, but this is when he has needed it. And as he is coming around that final curve, he should be able to see his teammate now. And that always used to encourage me, just seeing their face, kind of like as a plea of like, hurry up and get this baton out of my hand.
Well, he is about to do just that. I understand that desperation well. It's on the face of our leading team, but what a run there for Harriman. That was Ogomo, who is going to hand off to Jackson Spencer. 4:16. Well, look at the trio that this team has already put together. 4:15 opening mile, 4:17 second mile, 4:16 for that third runner. And now Spencer is going to take things home for Harriman. American Fork hands off about 2 seconds back, so they are very well in contention. And Oregon Distance Project, 12:53.22. That was a 4:11 mile for Taven Kitchen. And he has really asserted that team into a strong third-place finish. It's going to come down to this last leg.
And I will say Jackson Spencer has gotten a bit of a faster start, and that tends to happen on relays, just the adrenaline of it all. You saw your teammate just running his hardest into you, but you got to know your pace because, like I said, I mean, this is a mile. There's 4 laps for them to gain on you. Make sure you take it out very strategically.
Well, Jackson Spencer coming off of a series of really good runs this year. He has set PRs in the 800, the 1500, the 1600, the 1 mile, the 3000, the 3200. Need I go on? Woo. This guy is at the top of his game. And again, that confidence counts for so much when you are chosen to be the anchor of a very well-positioned team to take home the win in this 4x1 mile relay.
So if you're having some trouble keeping track of who's who, Harriman has a big old H right on their jersey as things are just starting to separate between a lot of the schools and a lot of the different legs, but as you can see right there, he still seems to be in pretty good position. And no, these other athletes behind him are not necessarily running his pace because he is ahead of them, but it's good to just have somebody to pass, have something to do a little bit.
Absolutely. Again, the momentum of crowd can really help you along. They are still, this Harriman quartet, on meet record pace. They've been running really strong. That meet record belonging to Union Catholic Track Club out of New Jersey, 17:12:34 going back to 2022. Serenity, that is a 4:18 average. Guess what? We have seen 4:15, 4:17, 4:16. All these athletes have to do, all this Harriman team has to do, courtesy of Jackson Spencer, is not run slower than 4:18, and they are going to come away with not only a win, but a meet record. Now, lots of running still left, but that positions them incredibly well for, again, a win and a meet record. So too American Fork, 4:19, 4:16, 4:14. Trackflation at its best.
Absolutely. And I mean, I gotta say that a lot of these athletes have just started to use the Harriman Track Club just to their advantage. But as you can see, Oregon Distance Project has now struck. It was only a matter of time, and there they go.
And that is Josiah Tostenson, again, no stranger to the New Balance National Circuit. He is going to take the lead for the first time here, and it is Oregon Distance Project, the team to beat. Josiah Tostenson, a 3:57.47 miler at his best, and he is putting all of that effort on display here down the backstretch.
He absolutely is, and he just struck with so much confidence. And I don't think Jackson Spencer even knew what hit him. I think he thought that that was just one of the athletes that he just lapped. He was wondering why they were on him, and then when he went past, he just knew exactly what happened. It is all Oregon Distance Project right now.
Look at this close, courtesy of our anchor. This is an unbelievable run for Tostenson. Keep your eye on the clock, 16:48 as things stand right now. And what a run for Tostenson. That is an enormous meet record, 16:57.69. Well, you know what, Serenity? That is the first time in the history of New Balance Nationals we have seen a sub-17 clocking, and he did it in style. That is the better part of 30 seconds betterment on the meet record.
Wow. And this is the place to do it. They didn't do it all the way up in Oregon. They're doing it all the way here in Philly. What a program.
And let me tell you, keep your eye on that man, Tostenson, because my goodness, he just ran a 4:01.58 mile. Let me say that again. A high schooler just ran a 4:01 as a split, and a solo split, I should say, on a 4x1 mile relay. That is absolutely killer.
Hoping to see him in some individual races as the weekend continues. What an absolutely amazing relay.
Well, and you can talk to the feeling of coming across that line, having your teammates waiting for you, know that they did all that work to get you in a position to show your best. What a feeling that must be.
Oh, absolutely. And they're just acting like it's nothing. I mean, hey.
Well, they've got lots of running left to go. These
They
guys
have
have to get
lots
back
of
to the
running.
hotel and relax, recover, come back for the rest of the weekend. But what a way to kick things off. Brilliant performance there. Under some windy conditions, but what a race.
And as you can see, they were just gunning for it from the very beginning. They were really aggressive. And look at him as he closed in style. It was all Oregon Distance Project. I mean, we have to mention that in Oregon, technically it's only 7 o'clock. I don't know if they're still feeling like they're on Pacific Coast. I mean, Pacific time, but it's really not that late for them. Maybe that's why they have a ton of energy.
They've still been waiting around all day, just like everyone else here, again, with those weather delays. So you're right. That sort of compounds it. We're used to seeing lots of East Coast teams, but Oregon Distance Project is going to take top mark 16:50, 480, 16:59 for our second place team in the form of Harriman, who, again, did a lot of work up front. So we've got two athletes, two teams